All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. It's your boy JFK Live. It's been a minute. Hey, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Listen, man, I want to say first of all, thank you to everybody who reached out to me online. It was a rough couple of days, and I know a lot of you, saw a posting online, and you kind of figured that there was something that I was trying to say. I usually don't try to say too much about stuff like that, when I'm online. But I just blurted that out, and I thank everybody for chiming in, and we continue to pray that God will preserve our lives and that we will not need to send condolences to each other over and over again, particularly in this period. So it's the hope and prayer that death will end. Amen. That's our aspirations, our hope. We all want to live. We want our people to live. We want to enjoy the best that life has to offer, that God has to offer this life for us. So, whenever we lose someone, it's really jarring, and there's no way to put it. And no matter what the condition of the person or the age or things like that, you're never, in my opinion, you're never really ready for a loved one to not be around anymore. So that's just a basic, way that I approach some of these things. And again, just to say thank you to everybody who reached out during that period. But life goes on, as they say. So we go on and we keep the memories of the dearly departed, and we live the best we can, even in their honor. And we pray that God continue to bless the families that are dealing with these right now. And God will strengthen the rest of us as we are here. Amen and amen. What's going on? It's your boy JFK, man. Just another day, in the land of the living. Another day here in New York. Another day in America. I'm praying that America will not be changing her name to Corona Land, because we have a situation right now in this country where we don't even know where we're going. We don't know where we're going, ladies and gentlemen. There's no leader on this boat. There's no captain on this ship. We have a president who has completely decided that there's no point trying. Are you kidding me? This man has decided there's no point trying. So we're now in a position where every man for himself, every governor for himself, every mayor for himself. And that hasn't worked before. It won't work again. We need a national response. We just need a national response to this thing. And I'm hoping that at this point, there's no more room for people to still be playing games. I'm hoping there's no more room for people to be thinking, no, this is not a serious matter. I don't know anyone in their right mind right now who's still looking at this and saying it's not serious, and that's the thing that makes me wonder, why are people so ready to accept lies when the truth is clear? The truth is, this is a serious matter, and we all need to get up and do what we need to do. We need to fight this as a community, as a nation, and stop this thing where we're divided between those who believe it's serious and those who believe that it's just a joke. And so today I was talking about this on my flyer, like, can you believe they're trying to reopen schools? Come on now, ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to reopen schools. How did we get here? How did we get here where, upon everything we have experienced, people are still coming out talking about it's time to reopen schools? Why are we playing Russian roulette with the kids? And I see a lot of experts online talking about, oh, children don't get infected at the same rate. They don't get affected at the same. What are you talking about? Why try at all? Why are we trying to find out if children can survive corona? What's this experiment about? This is ridiculous. This is an experiment. Every expert that's talked about this has said we have not seen children infected in the same rate. We have not seen children affected. Yeah, because we've been keeping them in the house. Are we out of our minds? What's going on? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. Let me know you're here. You know how you do, man. Drop me a comment right away. Share the video. Share the video. Let people jump in. It's been a minute. Please join me. Let chime in. What do you think about this? They want to reopen schools. What's your opinion? Now, talk to me. What do you think? Do you think it's right for the government to be pushing communities to reopen schools right now? Do you think it's the right time to be talking about reopening schools? Why are we using our children as experiments? What is this nonsense? These are the same people that told us to reopen the states. These are the same people that were telling us to reopen Florida, the Texas governor, Georgia governor. We're going to reopen. We're going to reopen. We're opening restaurants. We're opening bars. Now they're closing bars and closing restaurants. I mean, we predicted this. We saw this coming. If you rush to reopen, you will close in a hurry. This is stupid. Now, let's break this down. The second wave of the closings, this next closing, will hurt businesses more than the first one. Because if a business was shut down for a period and that business was reopened too quickly, And now you are forcing that business to re-shut down. My brother, each time a business reopens, it takes a lot. Each time it shuts down, it takes a lot. Some businesses are getting a double hit. This is the problem. Look, I'm not naive. I understand. A business that has lost customers, lost money all these months, there is nothing to say about it. It's a tragedy. There's no other way to say it. This is horrible. Some businesses will not be able to come back because many businesses were surviving, just barely holding on to start with. So with this pandemic, man, some businesses will not come back. It's the tragedy of the time. This is why coronavirus, the impact of this disease are beyond just the deaths and the sickness. The effect of corona is widespread. The economy, when we talk about the economy, we talk about people, businesses, your corner store, your salon, your barber shop. These are business owners. These are people need to eat. People need to live. People who have built businesses with their sweat, tears, and blood are watching those businesses disappear. This thing is destroying lives. So we know this. But the solution, here we go. The solution is not to force a reopening that will force a reclosing. That's just counterintuitive. That's what we're seeing right now. So Texas is now telling the bars and restaurants to close up again. Many counties in Florida are telling them to close up again. Philadelphia, they're going back to phase one. Atlanta, going back to phase one. New York, let me tell you something about New York. New York, we are like this. We are watching left and right in New York because we're not confident. There's some parts of upstate New York where they're seeing a small spike. The governor is nervous again, you know. And so this is not the time to this is optics. We want to reopen schools so that we can make it look like we're dealing with. That's stupid. Don't sacrifice the children. That's all I'm saying. Don't sacrifice the kids. Are you kidding me? You want to experiment with reopening? Those of you who are saying they should reopen the schools, you go to a place and gather first for like 3 months, just you guys, and come out. Let's see if you're okay. And the stupidity of this argument, where people are saying, okay, fine. Some scientists are saying kids are not infected at the same rate. Children are not as susceptible to it. They survive it or they don't have the symptoms. How about the teachers, bro? Like, what is this nonsense? Talking about kids reopening as if they're going to reopen just the kids. The teachers are going to be there. The school staff, janitors of different ages. Who's going to be serving the kids lunch? Who's going to be watching the kids, in class? What are we doing? And the worst part is they asked the Secretary of Education. They asked her the simple question. Do you have plans and guidelines for the schools and the district you're asking to reopen? And she said, oh, each district will determine what's good for them. What? Once again, the same mistake that brought us to where we are, we're doing it again. They will determine what is good for them. You're telling them they must reopen, but you're not going to go out there and tell them what they should do. Let me tell you what this is reminding me of. It is a sense of dodging liability. The Secretary of Defense, the President, and everybody in his crew that are pushing for reopenings, all of them know one thing. It could end up badly. They all know this could turn around and blow up because the first time they pushed reopening of states, it blew up. It blew up. So now they're talking about reopening and they know that it could go badly. That is why the Secretary of Defense will never commit herself to a set of guidelines. They asked her the question, can you guarantee parents, can you assure students that when they return to school, if they reopen, that they won't be sick? She said, oh, each community is going to determine, but she's insisting that everybody open up. Think about that. That is the dumbest. If anybody listens to that, then, here's the problem. You can't say anybody deserves COVID because the problem with corona is it doesn't just attack the person who has been stupid. COVID will not just affect the person who has been ignorant. There's a story just watched on CNN of a father who died. His son went to a party at a friend's house or went to a friend's house and came home and is asymptomatic, but he brought the coronavirus home. Just recently saw that on the news. Father is right now. The father hasn't died, but he says on a ventilator, and they're worried about him. And I'm thinking to myself, the father didn't go out to the party, maybe because he knows his age, he knows his preconditions, he knows that he's not the one to be playing around. But the son went to a party and brought the COVID home to the father. This is the problem with this thing. The person that it affects is not necessarily just the person who has been stupid. And that's why the problem now is that we all need to get smarter with this. We need to stop listening to stupid people. We need to stop empowering the dumbest ones in our midst. The Secretary of Education, the one person who should be worried about children's health, is the one pushing them to go back to school. And when they asked her, what is your plan for them being safe? Do you have any guidelines? She has the nerve to say each community will determine, but she wants every community to open up. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is dumb. This is stupidity. America is dying from stupidity. COVID is doing its own thing, but stupidity is assisting COVID. Why would anybody be talking about reopening schools right now when there are spikes? We're going up. And this dumb argument that, oh, children don't get affected the same way. Do they have parents? Do they have grandparents? Are they going home at some point after school? Or can they not carry the virus? They may not be affected by the symptoms of the virus, or can they carry it? It seems children can carry it. They just be okay when they carry it. So why are we endangering the children's families? Why are we endangering the teachers? What are you going to do with the teachers in school? The teachers are not children. Ladies and gentlemen that are joining me, please throw me a line on this. What do you think about this reopening thing? Let me see if you're here. Drop a line. This reopening thing is so annoying, reopening of schools. So let me get your opinion on this. Because the problem I have is that they've done this before and it ended badly. And we're supposed to be hearing from these same people again. This is the same Donald Trump that told you he was going to go down. This is the same Donald Trump that said it was only 5 people, it was going to go down to 0. This is the same administration that told us they had it under control in February. This is the same administration that was asking you to liberate Michigan, liberate Wisconsin, liberate Arizona. Now they're shying away from what they liberated. The only thing they liberated was COVID. It's amazing. Now you have governors who were tying themselves so closely to Donald Trump's twin brother in Florida, being stubborn. Was literally asking people to give him accolades the other day. Oh, Florida is still okay. We're not like New York. So other people that say we'll be like New York, they're lying. Now they're worse than New York in terms of infection rate. So here's the thing. That was predictable. That was foreseeable because COVID is not a political animal. COVID doesn't care. COVID doesn't speak English. Corona doesn't. It's enough. It's enough of downplaying this thing. It's enough of pretending it's not here. It's enough of like pretending you don't know how science works. That's stop nonsense. We beat this thing. We need to stop the nonsense. If we're going to come out of this, we need to stop playing games. Why is everybody behaving like we don't know how these things work? This is science, ladies and gentlemen. Don't reopen schools because you just want to get the kids out there. This is dumb. Donald Trump said the stupid thing in the world, not the stupid. Like I said, the stupidest thing he's ever said is still the Lysol comment. That is in the Hall of Fame of stupid statements by any public official. But Donald Trump literally said, I think he said it today, that keeping children at home and not letting them go to school is worse and it will kill more people. I guess this time and since you can just say stuff and not have to make sense. That's what's going on. He can say stuff and not have to make sense. But you and I who are listening need to be able to process that and be able to come out on the other side and say, that's a dumb statement. That's stupid. That is dumb. Keeping children in school, it makes them safer than keeping them when there's a pandemic in town. So this is my issue. Let me know what you feel. My people falling, I see you. Yeah, what's up? Listen, drop me a line. Let me know. What do you think? I'm not getting my comments yet. What do you think? Should schools be reopened? Should schools be reopened in America right now, considering everything that's happening? Number one. Number two, do you trust the people that are telling us to reopen schools that they have a plan? 70% of Americans right now, from the latest survey, 70% of Americans do not feel comfortable with their children going to school, with kids getting back to school. Which is, I'm glad that at least 70% of Americans are beginning to wake up and realize that we need to use our common sense to diffuse the lack of common sense coming from some members of our leadership. You're going to open schools and you have no plans. You're going to open schools. What about the teachers? You have no plans. And that's one of the things that just stares me up to this day. America, don't do it. Don't let them talk you into rubbish. Don't let them talk us into opening schools when we know that there's no plan for safety. The Secretary of Education literally confessed that, she's looking to the communities themselves to figure out how to keep their students safe. Imagine this. She's the one pushing them to reopen. But when asked the question, okay, what are you telling them? The communities you are telling to reopen, what are you telling them about preparing for the kids to come back? They asked her this question. She couldn't answer the question. The president keeps coming on TV and talking about we need to reopen the schools. Not a single word about the guidelines and the things that will be put in place. As a matter of fact, the Republicans in Congress, in the Senate, are voting down and refusing to take up bills that are designed to assist schools. If you're going to open up schools in a pandemic, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, fine. If you decide to do it, you should at least be at the forefront of resourcing that effort. My goodness. You're talking about reopening schools, but you're not telling us that you're going to send sanitizers. You're not telling us you're going to send masks. There's no conversation about gloves. There's no conversation about how you're going to do the class sizes because the children can't cluster because the teacher is going to be the one to bear it. There are already some teachers who are going home because they got COVID just because they went to school to prepare for the coming back of the kids. My goodness, this is science. This is math. What are we doing? Don't let them use our children as experiments. That's all I'm saying today. America, stand up and resist it. You guys are so wonderful with conspiracy theories about my people. Oh, we're not taking vaccinations. They want to kill our children. Fine. This one that they want to send children out into the world where there is a pandemic, and people are quiet. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? They're going to bring the children into schools right now. How do you know your child will be safe? How do you know your child is not going to carry something and bring it back home? This is ridiculous. Elderly parents, elderly grandparents, a lot of children are living with their grandparents. Many children are being cared for by elderly people. What's supposed to happen when those children come back? Some children live in group homes. Some children live in foster homes where there's a lot of kids. Some children are one out of many siblings. The probability that a child will come home with COVID and spread it within the home is so high. And yet all these people want to tell us that it's safe to send the kids out. Yes, yeah, my people, let me jump. What do you think? Yeah, Lara, man, thank you for being out here, man. Lara, about to happy birthday, young lady. I hear you are 26 now. Congrats, baby girl. Out there in Texas. Lara, I hope you guys are safe in Texas. So talk to me. How are you holding up? How are you holding up? I know that Texas is hot right now. Lara, talk to me. I hope my people are safe. I'm praying safety for my people in Texas, in Florida, Arizona, even New York. We are praying safety, continued safety, because there's no guarantee anywhere. Which brings me to my point of what I just saw before I got on today. Can you believe that Cuomo, basically allowed them to put up a poster celebrating New York's successful handling of the COVID? I mean, look, I've praised Cuomo for the things he has done right. I will yab him now for the things he's doing wrong. That is stupid. Get some humility to all the governors. Get some humility and understand that you are dealing with something that we haven't seen before. Just admit that and stop posturing. Cuomo had the nerve to commission a poster. I just saw it on TV where they have a poster showing that New York overcame the mountain. New York, we battled the storm. New York, we won. What are you talking about? We lost 34,000 people. My God, is anybody thinking in that office? Governor Cuomo, take down the stupid poster. This is not something to celebrate. Whatever victory or success New York has had is to be guarded. You're supposed to be humble and guard your victory. Yes, so Lara, listen, you stop going to any gathering regardless of. Lara, let me understand this. You are telling me that you guys in Houston. I know you guys in Texas. You party though. You guys party. Are you telling me you guys stop going to parties? Is that what's going on? This COVID got you guys indoors. Lara said she stopped going to any parties where there's any gathering. Oh, regardless of anyone's feeling. Lara, no, but Lara, they will miss you. They will miss you at that party now. You are the life of the party. What's going on, eh? If Lara is not going to any party, ladies and gentlemen, don't go to parties. That means Lara is giving you sense. My sister is giving you sense. Now in Texas, it's not time to gather. Don't get me wrong. Listen, even me, I'm not perfect. There's the temptation to at least, this my friends. A few of us, we can go here, we can go there. New York right now is in a better place. They are opening up. They are going phase 3. So you can justify it mentally when you go out and you're part of a group for one thing or the other. You are wearing your mask. You are trying to make sure that you don't talk into each other's faces. So New York is at least in this place where you can do that and say the government approves it. Even with that said, for me, for my family, we're all just trying to avoid having too many of those situations. It's because you don't, and this is the sad truth about it. What we've learned, what we've seen, Corona just needs one time to hit you. You can be safe 100% of the time -1. That one time that you are not wearing a mask or being well covered or being distant, Corona just needs one moment. This is the thing that scares me about this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I'm afraid of about this COVID. It only needs one opportunity to mess with you. You can be safe, you can be in your house for months, and it can be the first day you go out because there's no rhyme or reason to it. This is why I'm saying it's dumb. They're asking the kids to go back to school. Who is dropping them off in school? Who's picking them up? Are those people, immune to COVID? What are we doing? Are they going to be going in school buses? Is that the next thing? So they're asking us to reopen schools, but no one. We need to ask them the questions. Again, what about the teachers? How about the school staff, the janitor, the lunch ladies, the lunch gentlemen? What about them? How do we make sure that they don't pick up COVID from the kids are running around having a good time from everything, which is very weird. The thing about this COVID thing is that there are things we know about it now that we will find out later we were wrong about, or that it was incomplete information. Remember, we started by saying, it didn't people of color. Boom. Now on the other side of the fence, people of color are the ones that are suffering the most. And we've talked about how that's connected to a lot of previously, underwhelming health situations, poverty in the neighborhoods that don't have good healthcare. People don't have good healthcare, pre-existing conditions everywhere, some not treated, some not diagnosed. So when COVID, something like this comes that compromises your immunity, obviously those things are exacerbated. So thinking about that. But at the beginning of this, some people had the nerve to go on TV and talk about Black people don't get COVID. And now we found out how wrong that is now. This is why everyone should approach this thing with some humility, and let's really work with the experts. Now, even the experts got some things wrong, and I excuse that. I excuse their mistakes because at the beginning, the first thing they told us about these things is that it's called the novel coronavirus. Novel. I think I pronounced it novel the other time, like French. I don't know where that came from. It's the novel. It's a new thing. It's a new strain of corona. Corona has existed before, but this strain of corona is different. And whether or not we can have a debate on if it's man-made or it comes from dinosaurs, in the meantime, it's devastating our community. So I think we should focus on fixing it rather than having a debate on trying to find out whether one man. We can solve that later. Let's kill the virus first, if there's such a thing possible. So this is my point. So there are a lot of things that we will learn about this virus later. Now they're saying that children are safe from it, which I don't understand. That we're talking about Kawasaki syndrome the other time, which seems to be an offshoot of the COVID. Fine, maybe that didn't infect enough kids. They're saying children are safe. They're saying children are safe just because we don't see the same rates in children of infection or of symptoms. But I say part of that is also because we've kept the children indoors this whole time. I don't know about your family, but in my family, we've worked really hard to make sure that our kids are safe, and we've been careful with our kids. When you send the kid to school, you're not protecting them the same way you're doing when they're in your crib. And we all know that. Even in school, you guys know this. When you send your kids to school in the morning, if there's one of your children that has a high temperature or that's coughing or that has a flu, what do? They call the parents, say, come get your kid. They say, come get your kid, take your child home. We don't want your child in the midst of other children. Now, because this one, for instance, is not having the same effect with kids, all of a sudden, they're saying it's safe to send the kids to school. That's sacrificing children. That's dumb. I don't understand this world. In what world is it okay to use the children as the experiment? When the flood was over in the Bible, Noah sent out a dove to see if the dove will make it back before the people can step out. We are using our children as the dove, as a sacrificial dove. And then somebody's telling us that, oh, it's okay, children don't have any impact from it. Oh, really? If I Google now, children who have died from corona, I'm not going to get anything? Is that what you're saying? That's really not true, because we know stories of kids who have died. And their case might be part of a complication, like, oh, maybe they it doesn't matter, because every child out there has his own system, his own immunity, in which case some children are more compromised than others. And maybe the reason we don't know that is because up until now, nobody has ever sent them out to school in a pandemic. That's why they have been safe up until now. Maybe when you now send them out in a pandemic, we will now find out which child normally cannot handle the pandemic, but we didn't know until we sent them out as sacrificial lambs. Are we crazy? Why would we do this to the children? Ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Drop your comments. Yeah. Lara says, yeah, I told my kids no classroom unless they are assured of a safe way. The kids are not in agreement. Of course, they are bored, but safety first. And that's the thing. Nobody wants to be home like this. Isn't that the reason why they were liberating Michigan and liberating Florida? They're tired of staying home. They're tired of they didn't even do the lockdown. All these governors did like little partial things, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we don't need to lock down. This is only happening in New York. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. When I saw that, I posted. I said, why you guys? Corona is not. I don't know how to describe the thing we know about COVID. COVID does not care where you live. If it can catch transportation there, it will go there. It came from Europe. It got to Europe from China. COVID will travel any way it can. It will enter your backpack when you drive from town to town. It will go through the first class ticket you brought. You'll carry it with you. And then when it lands in the new place you have brought it, it will spread there and it will rejoice at the bounty of new hosts for the virus. That is the thing. And so why are we pretending like we don't know this about COVID? Ladies and gentlemen, the issue is there is no reason to send our children to school as sacrificial lambs when we don't have a preparation, when we don't have a way to make sure they are safe. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You would not do this with your child in any other circumstance. You will not take your child on a ride in Disney unless you are kind of assured that, okay, let me say they strap the child on properly. You don't, as fun as the Ferris wheel is, and you spent a lot of money to come to this amusement park, you still would not allow any of your children to go on any of your rides. As a parent, responsible parent, you check to see the way we do it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Talk to me. The way we do it, my wife and I, one child sits with the mom, one child sits with the dad, if we can't all be in the same cart. And then the adult that is next to the child will strap the child properly into the seat. Make sure you check it, that this, my child, is not falling out of any Ferris wheel in the name of fun. That is how we handle most things. So why would we now be in a pandemic and say it's okay to send the children out? What in the world is that? In what chapter of the parenting book is that coming from? And especially if you have been listening to people who don't know what they're doing. This is the problem. The people telling us to send the kids to school don't have a clue what they're doing. They've been wrong about everything. Donald Trump has been wrong about everything he has said about this virus. From the beginning, he's been wrong. He's been wrong. He's been stupid about it. And now he has given up on it. Did you hear? He's no longer having meetings about it. He's no longer taking briefings on Corona. He doesn't care anymore, because it's too big for him. It's too much of a problem for his brain. I don't blame him for that. You have to know your capacity. But a responsible person will just resign. If you have a problem in presidency that you can't solve and is killing your people, you're supposed to step down, give someone else a chance to resolve it. Not this guy, not Mr. Narcissist himself. This one is going to sit there and pretend like he knows what he's doing and say stupid things every day, all day, every day. Like schools have to open up. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to be smarter than this. If anything at all, anything Donald Trump says, we should do the opposite. Boom. Do the opposite. Because eventually you will come back and wish you did the opposite. All the states that reopened, and don't get me wrong, even the states that were careful, California was careful. California was a leading light in at least shutting down. They did a lot of things right. But what even the governor and some of the mayors are saying is, the problem is when they got to a point and they got really comfortable, people started, going back and doing things without any more regard for COVID. People stopped wearing masks. People started gathering in large groups. They felt like the coronavirus had left the state. And so the coronavirus came back to that place with a vengeance. LA County lost it. LA County is overflowing in the emergency rooms. Atlanta, the same thing. They lost it. And so the question is, ladies and gentlemen, will we now finally be wise? Yes, my mom, Esther Noah, she said, COVID-19 is not a respecter of anyone. Many grandkids are not going back to the nursery. Yeah, don't let the kids go back to the nurseries. What are we doing? Most of these kids, well, I won't say most, a good number of kids are being cared for by their elderly grandparents or even elderly parents. So every time we have this conversation, oh, the kids are immune, so let them go back to school. It's like you don't care about everyone else around the kids, the people who are charged with caring for them. How is a teacher supposed to care for a class of children without touching them all day, without getting close to them? How is the teacher supposed to make sure that she doesn't touch anything they touch, or that she washes her hands every time she touches something that the kid has touched? How is she supposed to know which kid has corona, which kid's father has corona, which kid's mother? How is the teacher supposed to figure that out? And at the same time, you're expecting this teacher to teach. Come on now. You're expecting this teacher to teach. but at the same time, she has to be on alert to make sure that nothing in the class is going on that could end up in a problem. And do you want the teacher to bear the liability? The school to bear the liability? That school district to bear the liability if something goes wrong? If there's an outbreak, whose shirt will you be holding if there's an outbreak in any of the schools? No, you tell me that. Who's going to be the one that will have to explain to the parent that, oh, we didn't think your child would contact COVID, but unfortunately, it seems that your particular child has a special immune system that makes him specially vulnerable to COVID? Is that the conversation we want to be having in a few months' time? Look, let me break this down. Everybody wants to get out. Every parent wants the kids to go back to school. Trust me, being a school principal at this stage of life for my kids is not fun. First of all, it forces me to admit that I don't know the things I've pretended to know. Trying to help somebody with fifth grade mathematics and realizing you never understood it the first time is a painful thing to deal with as a grown man, as an adult. I don't know about you. Have you ever sweated next to your son because you both are trying to figure out improper fractions? So the shock of realizing that I never understood it the first time, it's something that makes someone like me say, send them to school, please. Increase the teachers' salaries. Every teacher I see from now on, if they don't mind, I'll ask for their cash app and I'll send them money for no reason. If you're a teacher and I see you and I have money, I'll cash app you for no reason because I appreciate you more after this. I say that to say this. I want the kids to go back to school. We all want them. The kids want to go back. We want them to go back. As a matter of fact, if possible, they should go back and make up for all the time they stayed at home by staying in school for 3 months straight, not coming home. We'll visit them. Some of us went to boarding school. We can't do it. That's the desire. We want them to go back to school. We want to go back to jobs. You guys know me. I went to MC shows. All of my MC stuff was canceled. I miss that. I miss the process of MC. I miss the money. I miss the jollof rice they pack for me at the end. I miss it. It hurts. But that doesn't make me stupid though. I'm not trying to go back out there right now though, because it doesn't matter. Because the thing that you're saying, your children are bored. Boredom is fixable. Our prayer is that our children live. We want them to live. So please drop me a comment. Yes, my people. I see you falling in. Let me know you're here. It's your boy JFK Live. It's been a minute. Drop me a comment. Good to see you guys falling in. Let me know. Talk to me. Do you think that reopening schools is a good idea right now? I'm going to be jumping to the next thing right now, but talk to me about that. Do you think that reopening schools is a good idea right now? And again, I say the unfortunate part of that thing is I don't trust the people who are telling us to reopen, because when they asked the Secretary of Education, do you have guidelines for the communities to reopen? She said, oh, every community will figure out what they need to do. What kind of irresponsible statement is that from the Secretary of Education? Schools and districts, school districts are looking to the Secretary of Education for guidance. Tell us what do you know? Because the Secretary of Education and her secretariat and her office has more resources, has more information, works directly with the president. So they get the real-time information, and they're supposed to now get information to the districts and the communities and the schools. But she's now turning around and telling the schools they have to figure out how to make it safe for their kids to come to school. But at the same time, she wants them to open up and bring these kids back to school. This is madness. This is madness. I don't know about you, but let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about that. I think that is a major issue. Americans, we should all just resist it. Not while we're having a spike, Yeah, so let like I say, party care. Not only that, because of COVID, I am supposed to go out there and find it. I'm not. I don't motor. That's a big phrase that Lara just used. Let me break that down. Adonu motor. That means someone who dies and then realizes the truth. That is what we're trying to avoid. Let us not have people dying and then realizing that, oh, snap, you were right. We don't need to get to that point. That's what America's been dealing with. America is dying for ignorance. Ignorance is killing us. Let me get this. Antonio Aderomu. Yeah, what's going on, sir? It's a foolish idea to open school. How is it realistic and feasible for kids to socially distance in classroom? It's not possible. It's total madness. Nonsense. Thank you so much. Sir, in addition to that, now let me tell you what they're saying about that. So if you're listening to them and what they're basing some of this stuff on, they're saying because they found out or they believe that children are not as susceptible to COVID as adults. So that's their basis for saying let's send them out as sacrificial lambs to find out. Because the thing about it is that people, everyone who's saying children are not really susceptible, we're saying that in a world in which we have not tried to send them all to the same place at the same time all around the country. Do you really think that if we send all the kids to school now, there will not be a change in that understanding that tells us that children, they're fine. The children, COVID doesn't affect children. That's the narrative. These are the lies. These are the conspiracy theories that have destroyed us so far. They said black people don't get COVID. Now black people have died, are the ones dying at the higher rate. They told us that COVID, if you are asymptomatic, we don't know what's going on. Initially, they said asymptomatic people can pass it. Then they said they can't pass it. Now they're realizing that, yes, the first time was right. Because that's precisely because a virus doesn't have to give you symptoms to survive. When it comes into your body and it starts to live, it may not manifest symptoms yet. I'm not even a biologist or a pathologist, but common sense tells me that that's how a bacteria or a virus would behave. A virus has to do that. The flu does that. So now we're trying to revise things that we already know. So now I want to send kids to school. Who is good? Now, my only question, remember when Donald Trump had the rally at Tulsa and they did the disclaimer for everybody who wants to go to his rally and said, you have to sign an undertaking that if you catch corona at Donald Trump's rally, you cannot sue the Trump campaign. They did that. They made sure that people signed a waiver. Now, for a campaign that is telling you it's okay for you guys to come and to show up and to be part of a rally, the same campaign is not telling you that when you come, you have to sign a waiver that, if you get corona, it'll be all right, that you don't have to do it. This is the question I have for you. Are you not going to listen to the same people who are now telling you, come to school? And then when you ask them, what happens if I come to school? Well, that's up to your school to decide. That is your clue to run. Tulsa is now feeling the backlash of Trump's rally. Of course, they're spiking. It's math. It's mathematics. And so I am just tired of us listening to the dumbest ones among us. We should stop doing that. We should stop. We have suffered enough with that. We should stop listening to the most stupid ones, the stupidest ones, and the rest have to listen. And I'm like, no, we should block our ears to that nonsense and let's begin to listen to people who know what they're talking about. And I'll say it again: the experts are not perfect; they're not sure. The experts they're figuring it out. But our best bet of information is still the experts. Because to say that experts have made mistakes or they got it wrong here and there, and therefore we're going to stop listening to them. And my question is, so who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to follow? Where are you going to get your guidelines? That's where we are. So now we're twisting in the wind because people like Donald Trump have done a good job of making America distrust expertise. America doesn't believe in experts anymore. That is why America is now at the bottom of the list in the world of problem solvers. That's math. The thing that made America awesome, if at all, was the fact that when it came to science, when it came to engineering, when it came to math, when it came to literature, America just had the best of the best. And America achieved that by even doing some good immigration, I won't say good, some very corny, very wise immigration policies. They did a brain drain. The visa lottery program was streamlined to bring in some of the best minds in the world. Look at when Corona started. America relaxed immigration policies to allow nurses and doctors to come in. America does that a lot because America has always understood that, if you invest in expertise, if you invest in professionals, if you invest in education, you're going to end up with a class of professionals that are going to make you the best in the world. All of a sudden, under Donald Trump, we no longer believe experts. We no longer, believe doctors. We don't believe scientists. We don't believe teachers. We don't believe economists. We're now buying into voodoo science. We're buying into rubbish statements. We're letting people who have no clue. Did you realize, have you heard that Donald Trump's SATs were done for him by somebody else? Why in the world would you listen to this guy? He knows nothing. He has bluster, but he knows nothing. And we have listened to him and followed him off a cliff. America's 136,000 deaths right now was not necessary. It was not inevitable. Part of that is because our leader is a moron. And for some reason, we have followed him over the cliff. The same man who told his people, anyway, not some of us have stopped living, some of them are listening to him. He told them that the masks are just being politically correct. He mocked Joe Biden for wearing a mask. The same man is now getting applause from his people for wearing a mask to Walter Reed. That is the definition of madness. There are people who have caught COVID, some who have died because they were following the mantra of no masks. Even now, they're still protesting and saying they don't want masks. They are protesting against lockdown, protesting against shutdown. But the stupidity of that thing is that you're protesting against lockdown and shutdown, but you're not suggesting or finding out what are the alternatives. What the nations that have opened up, we're supposed to go and ask and see what are they doing differently. That's the wise thing to do. You want your schools to reopen? Look at schools in nations, look at nations where their schools have reopened and ask them, what did you guys do to get to this point? No, we won't do that. Donald Trump just cut America off from the WHO. That's the solution. If WHO has problems, so the solution is for us to cut off from it instead of using the outsized influence of the American presence in WHO to make WHO work better. This moron says the solution is to cut off from WHO. What do you think will happen to WHO? China takes over. America is ceding ground. America is releasing leadership in every front under this man. Why? Because this man has only one move in life, and that's bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. That Donald Trump knows how to do. Bankrupt whatever he touches. He has done it to America. Congratulations, gentlemen, ladies, you've done it. You elected the one man whose only gift is the ability to bankrupt everything he touches. America is a laughing stock. Everyone's curve is going down. America's curve is rising because Captain Bankruptcy is our president. And some people still want to listen to him on things like reopening schools. Come on now. At what point are we going to wake up? Now, I mean, I'm saying this obviously with the understanding that most people are not agreement with this. Yeah, I see my people in there. Come on, drop a line. Let me know. What do you think about this, that main topic? Should schools reopen in this pandemic? I want to say once again, thank you to Antonio there for that comment. So let me know what you think. Should schools be reopening? My opinion is clear. It's a dumb idea, particularly because it's coming from the same people that told us that coronavirus was going to disappear in April. Remember that? This was supposed to be gone by Easter. He wanted to reopen in Easter. It turns out that Easter period was when we had our highest spike because he doesn't know math. He doesn't know science. And while he was saying reopen, scientists were saying, no, they're gonna be hitting us. We're gonna hit a peak during that time. He doesn't know anything. He's the same man who told us that the heat will take care of it because it was nothing but a flu. Where are all my flu people? Are you still here? It's just a flu. I hope you are still around. Tell me now, does the flu behave like this? Everyone that said it was going to go down in the heat of summer, are you okay now? Because coronavirus, just to make you guys look stupid. I think at this point I'm thinking that COVID is like an individual entity, like an alien, because it's doing things that makes it look like it's listening and then reacting. It's like COVID literally let people say, oh, it's going to go in the heat. And then COVID went to Arizona, to Florida, to Texas, to come and relaunch its second album. COVID looked for the hottest parts of your country, America, to relaunch itself in the middle of your summer, in the middle of your heat, in your 100-degree weather. That's where COVID started manifesting a new look. Just to make you look dumb, forever suggesting that, oh, it's like the flu, it will go in the summer. And don't forget, the biggest fear that Dr. Fauci and the others had was that the fall was going to bring the second wave. Bro, COVID never left the first wave. So I don't know what's going to happen in the fall and winter. If the summer heat, think about it, y'all. If the summer heat did not kill COVID, what's going to happen during flu season? I say this not to be an alarmist, and I know it's alarming, but it's alarming. It's alarming. Death is alarming. 137,000 people dying is beyond alarm. We are way past alarming. An alarm is something that warns you of impending danger. We're way past that. The danger is here. The danger has been here. The danger is ravaging. Every celebration, including me, that I celebrated that the death rates are coming down, even though the infection rates are going up. That's something I've been watching. Because, you know, you know, you said death rates are coming down, uh, but now I was always suspicious because death rates are lagging indicators. Like they always say, again, I'm not a scientist, but just by paying attention to experts and seeing what's going on, it's been clear. Okay, so COVID comes in, it doesn't speak for 2 weeks or 3 weeks after it comes into a system. And if it's going to manifest in symptoms, it will be 2 or 3 weeks afterwards you start to get the cough and all that. The prayer is that you never get to the point where it begins to affect your respiratory system. And that's like maybe at that point you go into a hospital. So the emergency part of the COVID lifespan in a person is the part where you're now gasping for air. They take you to the hospital. Hopefully intubation will do it. If intubation is not enough, now you're talking about the respirator, the ventilator. And we know that when you're at the point of ventilator, your chances of survival are way diminished. And that's why I don't like people making it look like doctors were trying to kill people because they put them on ventilators. They were doing what they thought could work. Nobody knew what to do with this. And we come on, we're smarter than this. They called it a new virus because they didn't understand it. Until today, we're finding out new things about it. And someone reminded me, and look, I've watched enough movies. Yeah, it's a movie reference, it's anecdotal, but tell me if I'm wrong. We know that mutation is possible in viruses, in bacteria, in any organism. I understand viruses are not considered living things, but they behave like that when they're in a host. All this stuff I've learned just listening and paying attention since this thing started. So there's a possibility of mutation too. Like everything we know. I mean, we grew up in Nigeria. The malaria virus sometimes you use one drug, it will work for it. You use that drug again next year, and the malaria virus will be like, bishan. It would defend it because the malaria virus grew up overnight and figured out how to affect it. When you when you set traps for mice or rats in your house, you catch the first five. The next five will start to come closer. They will look at the thing like this. They will see it's a trap. They will go around it. They adapt. So yes, there's a lot about coronavirus that the experts didn't know at the beginning. So the treatments and everything we were doing was just let's just do emergency treatment. They were triaging. The reason why we're having some better outcomes now is because we figured out some things. Some of the things we figured out were based on the mistakes that were made. Unfortunately, there were lives lost. But I don't believe it was through a desire to lose lives. I find that those accusations don't tell me that doctors were trying to kill people unless you have specific evidence, videotape, audio tape recording of the doctor saying, I'm going to go kill somebody today. So here's the thing. You can't start this conversation with ignorance and then you refuse to learn and then continue to build on that ignorance with more fake information. Yes, let me take, Tolu Lokwe says, I'm not too sure about the validity of COVID-19 since that there's no clear proof that the death attributed to the virus was caused by the virus in the way that medicine proved death by virus. Also, people who respond for lockdown seem to be breaking rules. Prime Minister of Canada broke it. Mayor of New York broke it. Chief of Staff Boris Johnson broke it. Medical examiner broke it. Tolu Lokwe, that doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the conversation. Your skepticism about the proof of COVID deaths can be valid. But here's my argument with you. It is not a basis for you to deny the existence of COVID. That's where I'm trying to get a separation. To say that I have questions about COVID, to say that I am suspicious about how some people have handled it, to say that I don't understand why some of the officials that told us to stay at home were going out. Those are valid complaints. But sir, this does not cause me to turn around and say there's no COVID. It doesn't work that way. People are dying from it. And when you talk about the virus, let me tell you what I've learned. The reason why you don't attribute the deaths of COVID directly to the virus is because that's not how the virus works. You see what I'm saying? In terms of information, I'm not a scientist. I'm a lawyer. I don't do this for a living. But in this time and season, you have to educate yourself so you can, as you pray, you work to make sure that you protect yourself and your family. What we know about COVID is that it itself is not the killer. What COVID does, it finds things within your system that are already compromised and it squeezes them so that they will do the killing of the person quicker than they would have before. Correct me if I'm wrong, medical professionals. Hey, he told me he's here. Good to see you, sis. Hey, my mommy. Mommy, I already. Thank you. I'm coming to your point, mommy. I already. So look, I'm with you on that. There are questions, but the questions do not lead to the conclusion that COVID is fake. That's what's killing us. That conclusion. That's why we're misbehaving. In every state where they have treated COVID like it's a hoax, they are dying.
It's math, it's science. In New York, where we took it seriously, we died. 34,000 people died in New York. And I had this argument with people who were telling me, oh, the numbers are inflated. Then I asked them the immediate question, what's the real number? You see, this is my problem. On my show, my conversations, this is what I will fight you. If you give me a conspiracy theory and you don't have enough information about it, I will fight you. You tell me that the numbers are inflated. Possible, it's possible. People do crazy things. Tell me what the real number is. Tell me how you know they're inflated. Tell me who's inflating it. Tell me why they inflated it. Tell me when the inflation started and when if it's still going on. Because if you cannot explain to me, did they start inflating it from the first case in New York? Was that the fake one? Or did they start inflating it when they were trying to get to 100,000? You need to have your conspiracy theory set before you bring it up. That's why I told Lope, I appreciate how you brought it up. You said, I'm not too sure about the validity of COVID. And what I'm telling you about, the validity of COVID is not in question. The misbehavior of mayors, governors, people who impose the lockdown, that is clear. And we all know, we don't need to go too deep. We know why these guys are violating the lockdown. Guess what? You and I, if we have our way, we'll violate the lockdown too. I have violated the lockdown maybe once or twice without realizing it or even realizing it because nobody wants to be locked down. Nobody wants to be locked down. So if the governor or the mayor breaks the lockdown rules, one thing you have to keep in mind, these people are relatively more protected. So if a governor is breaking the rules, but he's being tested every day, his family is being tested, and they probably have access to the first vaccine if it comes out, or the first treatment, or remdesivir, which we are hearing is doing some good work. The drug remdesivir is doing everything that Donald Trump said chloroquine would do. He had the drug wrong. So when you have these things, so when you have these people violating lockdown rules, it does not undermine the validity of the disease. And you are right, the virus itself is not, it does not kill in the way that the virus comes into you and kills you. The virus itself exacerbates stuff in your system. And that's why they say, who are those that we are saying are more likely to be taken by COVID? People who have pre-existing conditions, diabetes, pneumonia. If you're an older person with a series of diseases, if you're somebody whose immune system is compromised, those are the categories of people who are passing. That is precisely to help you understand that COVID itself may not kill you. That doesn't make COVID a fake disease. Do you understand what I'm saying? COVID is real. Its effect and how people are dying from it is varied. So that's why now I said something in my last show. Like for Nigeria, for instance, I suspect, I could be wrong, and this is my suspicion, it's an opinion. I separate this from fact. In Nigeria, I suspect that one of the reasons that our death rate is trailing the infection rate with such disparity is because I suspect we have an immunity to a bunch of diseases because we are prone to a bunch of diseases in Africa that have similarities in symptoms to COVID. My biggest example is malaria, which is also why I thought chloroquine might be a good option, because the symptoms of this thing are, okay, this is a very powerful point. I'm going to bring this right now. So Ibukun is giving, Sister Ibukun is here. She's giving, healthy people my age are dying on these respirators. Let's talk about that. And that's why we talk about math. The probability is that if you have a healthy immune system, you are likely to survive COVID if you catch it. That has been, all the journals are confirming that. And that's why they're talking about antibodies. That's why even antibodies are saying the antibodies are varying. Some people's antibodies last longer than others. All the antibodies now seem to have a fading phase when it comes to coronavirus. That's the new thing they're talking about. The antibodies are not enough now, because antibodies will keep you safe after you've gotten the disease and you've survived it. Antibodies will keep you safe for a while. I guess the gestation period now is about 2 months, 3 months. So for 3 months, you are likely to have a defense system against catching COVID. But those antibodies wane. That is how COVID is operating. These are the things we're finding. And that's why I say, let's listen to the science. We can weigh it, we can be suspicious of things, but don't deny the parts of it that are real, So, yeah, told me COVID is real. And that's the thing. The fact that people are inflating numbers, I've said it, it's possible that there could be fake numbers out there. Human beings are horrible. We have different motives for doing things. Maybe somebody's making money, the higher the numbers are going. I don't deny that. That's possible. Man is horrible. Inflating numbers does not mean COVID is not real. That's my point. That's my point. Sister Bukun, it's very tragic. And that's why I'm saying COVID itself is a monster. It's a bad thing. Let us not enable it with ignorance. That's what I'm saying. We can fight this thing together, but we need to be on the same page about what it is, what it does, how it operates, and what we need to do as far as what we know right now. We might get more information later. They're working on vaccines, they're working on treatment regimens. We'll know more, we'll do better. But the things we know now, they may not be super effective. They may not, we may even find out later that it's useless, but we're going to try them. Like the wearing of masks. The wearing of masks. It's a simple thing. It's not convenient. Some people say they're allergic to it. I'm not in the business of disputing. If you're allergic to masks, there's a variety of things in this world that people are allergic to that I would not believe. I don't fight you on that. But the basic conversation about whether or not we should wear it should not be in question. Let's wear it when we talk to each other. Let's avoid crowds and gatherings for now. These are things we know that might help us. These are things that the nations that are now opening up practice for an extended period. These nations that are opening up did not play with reopening too early. They just locked down and shut down and waited. Now they are enjoying their stuff slowly. Now they are living again slowly. America just behaved like an idiot. America has behaved like an idiot. I don't know. It's supposed to be a nation of smart people. Maybe because our leader is dumb, we all just got infected with his dumbness, his domicity, his domation. Because we're not behaving like we don't know how to read books. We don't understand that the virus can mutate. We don't understand that once we found out that something is transmitted through droplets, when we speak, when we sneeze, when we cough, and we don't understand why masks are helpful. Do we not understand why washing of the hands is helpful? Do we not understand that the doctors and nurses that are taking care of COVID patients day in, day out, listen to this, the doctors are taking care of COVID patients and nurses on a daily basis. When it was at the pandemic peak in New York, our friends and family and sisters and brothers who are doctors and nurses were going to work every day, contacting COVID from morning till when they left. Some of them did double shift, contacting COVID, in intubation into people who had COVID, who were spitting out COVID, people were coughing out COVID, sneezing out COVID. That was their job site. Many of them passed away. We lost many good medical people to this disease. But my point is, many of them were not infected, even though they were in contact with COVID every day. Tell me, what was the thing? What is that thing that made a difference that allowed doctors and nurses who were dealing with COVID on a daily basis to still go home and be safe? Oh, let me see. Protective gear. My goodness, that's the math. The masks, the N95s, the hazmat suits, the shields that doctors and nurses were using, the gloves, the protective gear. It's what allowed them to contact COVID every day, and for many of them to be COVID free still. Some of them did catch it, some survived it, some did not. And rest in peace to all our heroes, frontliners who have given their lives in this fight. So why are we all out here behaving like we don't know how masks work? You know? Yeah. Dr. Badru, you are the best. Dr. Badru said, it's PPE. I sit in my house every day. I have a lot of my sisters and brothers who are nurses, who are doctors. I sit in my house every day. Shout out to my frontliners, Dr. Badru, all my nursing sisters, or everybody. Shout out to them. You know, hey, Tubi in the building. Tubi knows what's up. I'm gonna give her a shout out because these are she's one of the bravest people I know. When they were asking for nurses to come and work in the actual COVID centers, these are people that were volunteering. I couldn't do it. I looked at this and said, I can't do it. Let me confess. Let me see. Nobody's here. Let me confess. Let me confess to you. If somebody told me that I was as a doctor or nurse, I should come and work in COVID center, I will cough. If I was a doctor or a nurse, maybe I'll be different person. Maybe my personality will be different. But as I am, if I was a doctor or a nurse and they said, JFK, yeah, it's your turn to go and work in the COVID ward, I will cough. And then I will sneeze. Then I will shiver. So they can send me home. What are you not talking? Me, I should go and face the COVID personally. What are you talking? What am I trying to say? Shout out to all my frontline workers. Shout out to you. You're the real MVPs. And I'd rather listen to those guys. I'd rather listen to doctors and nurses who have been fighting than to some Secretary of Education telling me that children are not affected, therefore let's open schools. Are you insane? Are you, yeah, my brother Ferry Bello, my big uncle say the regime is more interested in re-election than the current situation in the country. This is the problem. That's why I said stop listening to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has shown that he has no clue what he's doing. He has confirmed that. Number one. Number two, you are more likely to get hurt listening to him. Listening to him is going to put you in more danger. Florida and Texas and Georgia will testify. Listening to Donald Trump will launch you into COVID faster than anything else. Sadness. Don't listen to a man who has been wrong about the COVID from day one. He said he blocked entry from China. Meanwhile, COVID was sneaking in from Europe. While he turned his back on Europe and was blocking China. Just the incompetence has killed us. The incompetence has killed us. And my brother Bello just said it. He said they are more interested in re-election. Here's the thing. Let's go political strategy. What Captain Lysol, President Clorox doesn't know, what President Underpants is too intellectually deficient to appreciate, is that had he taken COVID seriously, hear me out, I'm putting on my political strategist hat. Had Donald Trump taken COVID seriously at the inception, had he had the foresight to see that this could be a major problem, had he done everything in his power to make sure that America's, death rate was the lowest possible, had he done everything in his power to prevent us from getting to this stage, his re-election might have become assured. I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. Had Donald Trump, picture this, imagine when COVID was starting in December. Imagine if Donald Trump came out and said, there's a pandemic going around. We see Europe, we see Italy right now. It's really hard. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. Our economy has been booming. We've been doing really well. But we're going to have to go through some rough times right now because I don't want any of you to die. I'm channeling, if Donald Trump was smart. You announce to the country, this thing is coming. It looks like it's going to be bad. It's been bad over there. So let's do this. He would have shut down travel, like completely shut down travel. People would have told him, oh, don't do that. Fine. He would have been brave enough to shut down travel. He would have brought his experts into the room, locked them up and say, we are not leaving this room until you guys tell me what to do next. He would have listened to his experts. They would have told him, what do we know about the virus? What can we do? He would have nationalized the response. The president would have come out and say, my advice to everyone is to get a mask. We're making masks available to all the doctors and nurses first. We're sending masks and sanitizers to all the nursing homes, elderly homes. I'm telling you strategies, and many of you are listening to me thinking, oh, many of you are listening and thinking, oh, you are saying that now. No. I said this at the beginning. That's why I'm happy. That's why I started this debate like because I was tired of just saying it on post. I said it in February. I have posts I'm going to be putting them. In February, I said, my only thing was this. I remember I had to go on a post of a friend of mine who was saying, it looks like the media is hyping up this COVID thing. That was before he hit us. That was around February. And I had to go and challenge that and say, look, I know the media hypes things up. I know there's a lot of corporate motives in media. But I said, bro, all I'm asking people to do, look at Italy. That's all I said. Look at Italy. Italy is a first world nation. Italy was convulsing around February, March. Italy was convulsing. They were dying. They didn't know what to do. They were choosing who to live and who to die. They ran out of ventilators. That was my only example at the time. That's all I needed to know. I didn't care about China. I didn't care about 5G. I didn't care. All I know is that here is a nation with comparable expertise and scientific knowledge and wealth. Here is a nation that is dying, that should not be dying. And furthermore, there is no border between us and them that can stop people from flying over here from there. I was panicked early. I had my panic early. And then I considered the fact that in America at the time we have the president who is the dumbest person we could find. We put the wrong person in charge, the dumbest man. Before the COVID thing, America was running a little bit okay because many things in America run on their own. That's the beauty of this country. The system is designed to function regardless of a lot of things. So Donald Trump could coast and pretend he's doing a good job. When a real tragedy was coming, I knew we were in trouble because I knew that this guy didn't have the acumen, the intellect for this trouble. It was clear he couldn't handle this. So what I'm saying is not something I just thought of. And it's what many of the nations of the world did. Forget about me. Just look at other world leaders who came up on the podium and told their people, this thing is serious. It's going to be bad for a while. We need to do something. It's already, they were just real with their people. Angela Merkel, she's a scientist to start with. She just put her lab coat on and went and she just went into the lab with her people and began, what do we do? What do we do? The meantime, this guy over here was talking about we got it under control. There's only 5 people, and quickly it's gonna go quickly to zero. He likes saying quickly. It's gonna quickly disappear. It's gonna quickly go to zero. We're gonna Akboda. Just an entire moron. He's gonna quickly. Has he quickly gone? What is wrong with us as a nation? Why are we embracing ignorance? Why are we celebrating stupidity? We need to stop. We need to stop so we can get a handle on this thing. Oh my goodness, listen, you guys have been off. You've been giving us some good stuff. You said our president is an idiot. So you are not nice. You're not nice. Why are you abusing President Lysol? Yeah. BCOI. You see, I've said it before, I say it again. We are going through 2 pandemics, the current administration and the pandemic. You guys are evil. You are evil. Let me get more comments in here. Tommy says Buhari and Trump are in the same WhatsApp group. I've not heard that one before. So Buhari and Trump are in the same WhatsApp group. Yeah. Tommy is right. I called him names. I try to refrain myself, but people have died. We are way past civility on this issue. 37,000 people are dead, Americans. And to all the numbers are inflated people, I have challenged you. And the numbers are being inflated. Fine. Give me the real number and tell me whether that one is okay by you. If it's 50,000 Americans that died and that one is cool, let me know. Because I've told you, the issue of inflation is second to the fact that people are dying. And you can't even prove the inflation anyway. If there ever was you remember when Georgia, before now they can't lie anymore. That's what happened in some states in Nigeria too. They start by lying and pretending it's not happening. They don't know that COVID doesn't care. When you are lying about COVID numbers, COVID is looking at you like, look at this one. I've not started. What have I done? When the numbers come in that you cannot hide, when celebrities, politicians, people of status and standards begin to catch COVID, the people that said that there's no COVID, like the president of Brazil, Bolsonaro, when those people begin to catch COVID and now begin to apologize for telling you not that COVID was not real, by that time it will be too late for a good number of people. That is the tragedy of this thing. Somebody's stupidity is causing the death of some other people. We need to stop the cycle of ignorance. And that's why, one of the comments from my mommy, I already said that thing earlier. She said, look, if they're going to be opening schools, they need to tell us what their plans are. And that's the thing that bothers me. They want to open schools, but there are no plans. They want to open schools, but the Secretary of Education literally said the communities will determine what's best for them. But you want them to open, but there's no federal guidance on what they need to do to make sure the kids are safe. In what world is that okay for me to send my child into that kind of school? Based on this idea that kids don't get COVID. Until we find out a few months later, God forbidding, that, kids get it, but we just didn't know how it manifested in kids. And now we are sorry because we should not have opened schools. That's what's happening in Florida. That's what's happening in all these other states. We shouldn't have opened. Many of us were shouting here like, we're not saying don't reopen. We're not saying don't reopen. We're saying you can only reopen when you follow the guidelines. Reopen smart. Reopen wisely. Reopen slowly so you can monitor your reopening. So that if you reopen a little and you see COVID spiking, you shut down. You shut down. You watch it again. You watch it again. Then you reopen a little. You reopen a little more. And as you're reopening, you do guidelines. You do PPE. You do mask. And if COVID shows again, you shut down. Then slowly you'll be pushing COVID itself away. No, they were carrying gun, going to the state house, protesting the lockdown. No mask, talking about you need to, I need my freedom, give me my liberty, my freedom, my liberty. May we not be free to die. The figures don't matter. The truth is that these people are family. If one person has died from this virus, it's horrible enough, and we all say that, but we don't act like it. We don't act like it. That's why 136,000 people dead in America is not even news anymore. People are actively resisting that news. And I've said it before. Look, there's some tensions involved there, and it's hard. It's a hard problem, but we need to take our losses and decide which losses to take. And it's easier said than done. But if we don't decide which losses to take, Corona will decide for us. We need to take the power back from this disease. The first thing is to stop being ignorant about it. We need to take the power back. If we were open and say, damn the consequences, when those consequences come, we'll realize that we weren't really ready. That's what these states are finding out. Let's just reopen and damn the consequences. No. You reopened, now your hospitals are overflowing. It's going to be the death. Florida's beginning to see death. Before we're celebrating that, okay, it's just infections and they're young people, they'll be okay. Now people are dying. And when that death number begins to pile up, God forbid, that's when they start bringing trucks. These are trucks to collect corpses. That is the thing we don't want to see again in this country. But if you are so worried, if you and I are having this conversation that the businesses are suffering, yes, businesses are suffering. We're all suffering, and the businesses are suffering. It's the most tragic thing in the world. But maybe the way to solve that is to do a better job of the PPP, of the loans. Maybe the better way to do that is to all of us to tell Congress, tell every senator, if you do not vote for the stimulus, if you do not help the small businesses, I promise you I'm voting you out. That's how you get that solved. Small businesses need loans. They need not even loan grants. Fine, we're saying we don't have money, we had money for all the military thing, all the military stuff we've been buying. We had money. Do you realize that Donald Trump was sending PPEs and all kinds of masks to China, to Russia? Before we're now saying we don't have any more? Come on now. How can you be okay with him sending stuff out? Then they'll be telling you they don't have money for stimulus, and you'll be okay with that. Is it not better for the country to go into debt for stimulus to help us in this time? Is it not the one that they were supposed to die on this hill and make sure that everybody gets help? But you have spent your life abusing everybody that got a handout, that got help. So you are now too proud to say we need a handout now. And that aside, that's where we should focus on. If you reopen, which is what, we warned about this. If you reopen and COVID catches your customers, you may shut down for life. That's how this works. If you rush to reopen, if you reopen indoor dining, and the customers that are brave enough to come and patronize you, if they catch COVID, God forbid, if any of them die, your restaurant might be known for that. And then you're not really fighting against COVID and the economic challenges. You're fighting for your name. That's why it's like being penny wise and pound foolish. We're going to suffer either way, y'all. That's what a pandemic is. That's what a natural disaster is. That's what a tragedy is. We're going to suffer either way. Question is, can we determine how we suffer? Can we have some impact on how we take the suffering? We're going to either suffer with the long shutdowns and lockdowns that are going to devastate us economically, that are going to affect us seriously, but might help us get a handle on the disease. Or we're going to open up regardless of the disease and then see what happens. And then when the COVID attacks us and then we shut down because we are dying, that's a longer term effect. You may never open up again after that. So that's why we have to be smarter. From Bello, you're exactly right. They're now receiving more of their freedom and liberty from COVID-19. Young people are dying more than before. My brother's in California. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. I have people in Texas, in Florida. They're telling me the young people that we thought were immune, my goodness, they're dying. I thought young people weren't supposed to die from this. And we're not talking about young people with just diseases. Like Sister Bukun said, young people who were healthy. What? That wasn't supposed to happen. But that's my point. We don't know the things we don't know about this disease. So the things we do know, we should stop fighting about them. We should just use them to our advantage. And this reopening of the school is the dumbest thing. And that's my word on that. Imagine them attacking Fauci. Anthony Fauci is now Anthony Fauci is now the is now the whipping boy. That's my man Fauci right there, man. Anthony Fauci is now the enemy, bro. The funny thing is, I remember, I think a month and a half ago, there are too many posts to remember. I remember posting, I said, memo to Fauci, maybe you should resign before they turn on you and start to make you the scapegoat. I was putting that memo, I was putting that post up, just noticing the trend that they were beginning to reduce Fauci's role in the whole, task force. I saw them started to push him back. So I was like, Fauci needs to start thinking about resign, because I know that when Donald Trump is afraid of you and when he thinks that you are getting more shine than him, he's going to find a way to get rid of you. But before he does that, he would like to mess you up, mess up your credibility, mess up your reputation. That's Donald Trump's MO. He wants to fire you, but he wants to, dirty you up first. So that way, when he fires you, you can rely on what he said about you before. That's what they do with Fauci now. Now they're calling him names. They say he was wrong. They put a cartoon out on Dr. Fauci talking about, oh, he's wrong. He's just, and I'm thinking to myself, everybody that, I mean, I'm gladdened by some of the polls. The polls show that more Americans trust Fauci than trust Trump. About 68% of Americans trust Fauci and what he says about COVID, to about 25 to 30% that trust Donald Trump. So I'm glad that people are smarter than that. They are wiser than all the games they're playing. They're trying to blame Fauci. And this is one of the tricks they're using. Hey, listen. Dayo, I'm so glad you're here. We're good to see you, sis. Let me read your. It doesn't make sense to fight Fauci. He's worked with 6 administrations, both Dems and Republicans. Yes, Dayo, but he's never worked with this guy. This guy is different. This guy is special. This president is special. Don't you all forget that. That's why I get upset anytime people try to compare Donald Trump with other people. People say, "Oh well, this other." No. I hate that. I can't stand it. I give Donald Trump his due. In the list of morons, Donald Trump is king. When you are crowning idiots, please, there's only one crown. It is only for one person. It is Donald J. Mr. Lysol Trump. I don't like it when people try to argue me about Donald Trump. I don't take it lightly at all. So that say he worked for 6 administrations, them has never worked for this guy. This guy is unique. This guy is special. So here's my point. They're trying to dirty up Dr. Fauci. And one of the things they're doing, they're bringing up statements he made that they say show that he was wrong. The problem is every statement they've brought up about Fauci, they've done it out of context and they cut the other parts. One of the things they said that when Fauci said, "Oh, it's okay, people don't have to change their lifestyles right away." I think they said something like that around March. But what they did was they cut him off when he said, "We don't have to change our lifestyles. It's not going to be a big problem." But he followed up by saying that unless we do the wrong things, unless we ignore it, if we don't get a handle on the spread, he said it. He said if it becomes a pandemic, if it becomes a widespread, he said the only thing I'm worried about is community spread. And he said if people keep gathering and don't protect themselves, he said all those things, but they cut out that part and they try to play just the part that's where he said, it shouldn't be a problem. And that's why I was telling somebody that it's about conditions. I said this, I don't know, this was like 4 or 5 shows ago. I said, when you're attacking these people, you be very consistent about why you're attacking them. Fauci and the others were definitely working on the information they had at the time. At the time Fauci was talking, America still had a chance to dodge the bullet. America had a chance to escape the worst of this thing. All we had to do was follow some of the guidelines and begin to see more about this disease, learn more about it, figure out better, like some nations did. But we didn't do that. Our leadership did not do that. And so ended up on the other side of the curve. Now people wanted to blame the guy who warned you that, oh, it's going to be fine as long as you, like your doctor telling you, listen, take this medication, you're going to be fine. And then you don't take the medication and you are sick, or your disease comes back and you say the doctor lied. Are you kidding me? That's not how this works. So he said that we need to avoid community spread so that we can be okay. Community spread is what we all do when we gather together in the pandemic, and no masks, no washing of the hands, no, we're not careful about spreading our droplets. So he wasn't wrong. He gave you the optimistic picture of what would happen if we behaved ourselves. And he gave you that, however, if you do not follow the conditions, this is what will happen. He has been talking like that the whole time. If we follow these conditions, the number of deaths we're expecting will be less than this. If we don't, it'll be higher than this. Those are conditionalities. But when you don't follow the conditions and now you now see the repercussions, you don't get to turn around and blame him. He did his part. He told you the truth. That's why more Americans trust him than trust Trump. But they're trying to put him under the bus now. They're trying to put him under the bus, trying to put the blame on him. They're saying, no, he was the one that said masks are not necessary. When we all know that President Lysol has been raving against masks from day one. President Clorox said that masks are not manly. President Bleach told he told Biden being a punk for wearing a mask. He attacked a reporter for wearing a mask, saying you're just trying to be politically correct. Why are we not trying to say it's Fauci that said we shouldn't wear masks? Come on, y'all. I know we're wiser than this. The polls are showing that we're smarter than this, but I just want to keep saying it so that we don't get complacent. November is coming, and America just needs to be ready. Fauci is not your problem. Fauci has been a godsend. Your problem is ignorance. Your problem is that you're being led by the dumbest person in the world. That's what's going on. Brooks had to look down into the soil the day he told us to drink Lysol. These guys know he's a moron. His niece just wrote a book saying he's a moron. His niece said he's a narcissist who is also like is a sociopath, a sociopathic a sociopathic narcissist is how she describes him. That's our problem. It's not Dr. Fauci. Fauci is just telling you what he knows when he knows it. There's nothing Fauci said in this entire period that the rest of the medical community, did not agree. The ones that disagreed with him did not disagree with him on the facts. They might have had a different approach
All right.